All right, let's lock it in with Cam Rogers right here on the Believe Podcast Network, the #1 podcast network for professionals. I am Cam Rogers. Follow me on Twitter at Mr. Rogers99. One of my good buddies, a reoccurring guest here on the program, Trevor Knight, founder of TKQB Academy, former UNH quarterback as well, of course, fellow Nashua South graduate. TK, what's up, my man?
How we doing? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. Great to have you back here. You know, the last time I had you on a Cam Rogers program, it was the Tiger Woods show. And I was like, how can I make this work? How can I mold things around? But now it's a general sports betting show. It makes a lot more sense. And from what I understand, you're a pretty big time sports bettor.
Yeah, I love it. Ever since I've been out of college, I like doing it just because I think I have a good insight.
Well, we're going to get your insight toward the latter part of this episode, so the people will have to wait. I do just want to generally check in with you, man. Haven't seen you in a while. Obviously, a lot has happened in the last couple of years, you know, in the general world and our worlds as well. So how is everything holding up with you?
It's going great, you know, staying busy, working a nice little boring tech job, but also started the TKQB Academy a few years ago and kind of been rolling with that to keep me sane in the game of football.
Yeah, it's been so fun to just follow you and follow that growth of that academy. And I sort of want to dive into that now, the development. I mean, just think back 2 years when we're yakking it up about the TKQB Academy and what you wanted from it. And now here we are, just an unbelievable following on Instagram. Just kind of talk about the development these last couple of years for you and seeing this thing grow.
Yeah, it's been great. I've really been lucky to work with great kids and great families. So obviously if quarterbacks, you got to be smart guys, and I just work with really smart, great kids, and makes my job very easy. You know, they're able to really retain a lot of information, but it's grown because of how the kids work and how they're able to take in information and apply it to the game. It started off 2 years ago. You know, I was just working with 5 kids that had reached out to me and asked if I could do it. And then, 2 years later, I got over 50, 60 kids that I'm working with. It's been pretty crazy, a little overwhelming at times, but I really enjoy it. It's been a blast.
Well, it's got to be so rewarding for you, Trevor. I mean, you talk about seeing these kids at one point and then getting to another point, and you're seeing them perform on the high school stage and all that jazz. So for you, what is the most rewarding part of this? I'm sure overall it's rewarding, but anything in particular?
I think just seeing them in game, having success, and kind of just enjoying it with their teammates and with their team. That does it all for me, because I see what they do behind the scenes, and I know not every quarterback is working hard behind the scenes to see them have success, that's the most rewarding, what they do on the field. And some of these guys starting in college now, a couple guys I work with starting their first games actually this weekend as freshmen in college. So
awesome.
It's all really exciting. I keep in touch with all the guys I train in season, just checking up with them every week. So it's good to just see these guys playing. It was a rough year with COVID. Some of these guys got to play in 3 to 4 games, in a full year span. So see these guys have a full season and really get a lot of games under their belt after watching them work for the last, year and a half, barely playing any football. It's awesome to watch.
I think it's fair to say that not every quarterback is the same. Does your training style differ from player to player, or do you have a typical curriculum you just go through?
I'd say I teach all the same mechanics, right, to the same people, to everybody. I'll teach everyone the kind of the pillars I believe in, and I have my non-negotiables, and from there I let people try to stay natural. Patrick Mahomes do. And if I have someone that's a little less athletic, right, I'll tell them to watch Tom Brady, watch how great he is moving 6 inches in the pocket. You don't need to be a freak athlete with crazy speed to be a great quarterback. So luckily the NFL has great examples for us. So I tell these guys, just watch as much football as you can on Saturday and Sunday, learn absorb as much information as you can while watching, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray. These guys are absolute blast to watch, and you can learn so much from them.
And you're sporting the TKQB Academy right now.
Yeah.
Love to see it.
Got the
There
shirt.
you go. Serious swag. I need one of those, my man. I'll wear one on an episode down the line.
I'll hook you up.
There you go. So where do you see this going, man? I mean, what is the goal? What's the next step here? You continue to grow this thing, so I'm sure you have goals, lofty goals.
Yeah, I have working with a ton of guys right now. I don't want to say I have everyone I need or like want. I'd love to work with more people, but I kind of love where I'm at with it right now. It's not overwhelming. I'm still able to, hold another job and still do this as much as I'd like to right now. I just like to work with these kids when they're a little younger. So by the time they get to high school, we're not focusing, 95% on how to throw a football. We're focusing on how can I get better in game or, certain, aspects of the game. So I think where I see this going is definitely working with a big younger group and trying to get them going. Because some of the people I worked with for 3 years now, or 3 years now, I see them having tons of success, and I'm like, dang, man, I wish I got you when you were like, 13 or 12 years old, and you would have been that much better by the time you're 18, so that's kind of where I'd like it to go. I'd like to start with, 7th to 8th graders more. But yeah, I also do train a lot of 7th and 8th graders, and those kids they do a tremendous job. But I think that's where you kind of get a lot of your muscle memory, or in those younger years. It's easier to retrain, retract those steps and apply, new mechanics. It's like a golf swing. If you swing a golf club bad your whole life, it's hard to learn when you're 45 as opposed to when you're 13.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, you can get stuck in this rut or this hole, right, of just doing the same thing over and over. And, your body's just so used to something that it's hard to really get out of it. That's a great point there. And it's the TKQB Academy, folks. He's doing a fantastic job with that. I want to shift gears here to the National Football League, and I want to talk about your New England Patriots. Now, they seem to me like they could be contenders. I mean, something's gelling out there in Foxborough. What say you?
Yeah, I think they really can be. They have a good enough defense to where they can stay in the game with anybody, and I think Mac Jones is getting better week to week. They have a great running game, multiple backs who can carry the rock. As you see every year with the Patriots, it's like it's in and out with the running backs. You never know who's going to have a
revolving door.
Yeah, Damian Harris has had a great year, minus the fumbles. But I think Mac Jones gets better every week, and he, in my opinion, he's the best rookie quarterback right now, as of right now. There's no other rookie quarterback I'd rather have on the Patriots right now than Mac Jones. Even Trevor Lawrence. I know Trevor Lawrence is great, but I'd rather have Mac Jones for what we run as an offense, for what we asked him to do.
We love to compare TK, especially with the Patriots quarterbacks, to Tom Brady. And I don't want to go in that rabbit hole of like, is he the next Tom Brady? But do you see similarities from the early Tom Brady of like 01, 02, horizontal passing game, good defense, good special teams, and winning those Super Bowls?
Yeah, I really do. And you look at his college career, he was behind Jalen Hurts and Tua. Those are both like number one quarterbacks in the nation, and he waited his time and he showed resiliency, and it showed when his senior year. He was incredible. And I argue with my roommates. I said, Mac Jones might be the best quarterback in the draft. I was saying it like in this past winter, because he has a great completion percentage, yards, great touchdown interception ratio. And they're like, oh, well, he's throwing a Bama receivers. I say, yeah, well, so is Jalen Hurts, and he looks a lot better than Jalen Hurts. It's right. Drops the ball or drops back and puts the ball in his receiver's hands. That's really all you can ask for.
We'll see what happens with the Patriots. They looked pretty good last week against Sam Darnold, although that's always the case. My God.
Yeah. Sam, for the sake of Sam Darnold, I'd like to see him have a little success against the Patriots at least one time.
Yeah. Even in the NFC, he still can't get it done. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It was a great game last week for the Patriots. We'll see what happens going forward for them. They have this week the Browns. Patriots -1.5. I'm hammering the Patriots.
Yeah, just out of respect.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no Nick Chubb this week for the Browns.
Yeah, that's huge.
We'll see what happens there. Big game for New England. Just touching quickly upon the rest of the rookie quarterbacks, TK. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, all these guys out here right now. I mean, anybody else sticking out to you? I know Zach Wilson's been out for the last few weeks, but maybe we'll stick with Lawrence here. Obviously, he's not in the most ideal situation, but you know, is he the guy in Jacksonville? Is it too early? Where are we at there?
He's definitely the guy in Jacksonville. Unfortunately, Jacksonville doesn't score a lot of points, so they're not up on red zone a lot, you know. Yeah. So
that's true.
I've watched Trevor Lawrence in a couple games. I haven't watched too much of him. He's definitely not getting a lot of help. You know, Urban Meyer, first year head coach, it's going to be an uphill battle for him in there just because of the absolute implodement that went on in their organization the last few years. Yeah. You know, so it's definitely going to be a battle. I think that's one that's going to be, you're going to judge in like 3 years from now. You'll say that was a good pick or Trevor Lawrence is good. You know, I think it's a little too early to tell on him.
Right.
But I will say he's not playing as well as Mac Jones is, you know, so I think that's where you kind of got to see it. Mac Jones is in a better situation, but you know, Trevor Lawrence was in Mac Jones' situation, and you know, tough to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about football too, when we compare individuals on different teams, right? It's the ultimate team sport. You have to block on the offensive line. You have to get off the field if you're a defense. You have to get open if you're a wide receiver. I mean, it's just so hard sometimes to get so granular with football, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can't run the ball, it's going to make it really hard to throw the ball, you know. And that's what helps Mac Jones so much, and a lot of other quarterbacks can't really say the same thing, that they're getting a lot of help. You know, because if they know you're passing, you know, they can be really creative in the NFL. They can be super creative on coverages and different little wrinkles that they do week to week. That'll make your life really hard. So you got to be great at all phases. And if you're not, like, you know, the Jaguars haven't been great in the run game this year. You know, Trevor Lawrence is going to struggle as a result of that.
Yeah. A lot of rookie quarterbacks in the NFL right now. We will see how they pan out. I do want to talk about Patrick Mahomes. He's been a topic of conversation for quite some time here in regards to quote unquote regression as a quarterback. And I struggle to sign on to that narrative here, Trevor, but I do feel like he is pressing a little bit at the quarterback position. And I do want to get your thoughts on him. I mean, are you seeing something mechanically that's wrong? I mean, is he getting a little too aggressive, maybe feeling the pressure with a bad defense? I don't know.
Yeah, you know, I think he plays with an overload of confidence. And I think for the first time in his career, it's really biting him. You know, He's gotten really lucky over the years on some of those, and he's gotten really unlucky this year. So I wouldn't write him off, but I would, you know, kind of keep an eye on where that's going. You know, I think the Chiefs will always be, you know, they got to start playing some defense, but
right.
You know, with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, they're going to be in every game, you know, as long as they can get a few stops on defense, but they should be in every game. I know they haven't been recently, but you know, he's an unbelievable talent. And with Kelsey and Hill, I don't know what's going on. I'm not going to say they're broken, but they need some fixing.
Yeah.
But their whole scheme, you know, it's just not really working right now. So I think it's kind of starts at the top. And then Mahomes got to stop with the bad turnovers, you know, like picks here and there are going to happen in the NFL. You throw enough times.
Yeah.
Those are professionals on defense. They're paid to stop you from throwing the ball, to catch it. So, you know, bad stuff's going to happen, but some of those picks he's had are just absolutely inexcusable, you know.
What do you think about these arm slots that he's throwing out of, you know, the sidearm stuff?
You know, I think it's sometimes he does it a little unnecessarily, and I think that might hurt him. I think being able to throw from different arm slots is a great tool to have in your toolbox, but you shouldn't just be, you know, bringing out random slots when you don't need them, you know?
Right.
Because he's kind of got to get back a little more natural, I think, because he is doing a little too much. I think he's dropping his elbow below his shoulder, so he might have some things to clean up for sure.
You know, Lamar Jackson does that sidearm throw a lot as well. And I don't think he's as tall as Patrick Mahomes. So a lot of times the balls get batted down and it's like so frustrating because the receiver's open, just go 12-6, baby, like up and down, you know?
Yeah. You gotta, if they're jumping, that's when you hit the side arm slot. And if they're, it's tough. But he's another guy that throws from a little bit lower of a slot, and that's going to continue to happen, but if Kyler Murray can do it, then these guys have no excuses for getting passes batted down.
That's a good point. Drew Brees. Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
Russell Wilson. Okay, well, we're at the halfway point-ish in the NFL season here, Trevor. I mean, we're going to start seeing the contenders peel away from the pretenders, if you will. Your impression so far in terms of who you think will go to the Super Bowl? Do you have a prediction at the midway point?
Up until last week, I'd say the Bills are a real contender. I still think they are. But, as far as the AFC goes, I'd consider the Patriots a real contender. I don't think anybody wants to play them. Nobody's going to want to play them.
Okay. Bring it on. I want the Ravens to take them on. Let's do it.
Yeah. I think the Ravens, they've shown some resiliency. I think Lamar's kind of put that whole, if you get up 2 touchdowns on them, they're done away. I think he's developed enough as a passer to where he can beat you either way, So they're going to be in the discussion, and it's incredible the year he's having without any running backs. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'd still consider the Chiefs, it's all about firing at the right time, and they have all the pieces there to fire at the right time. So if they start winning a lot of games and they win 4 in December, then that's when people are going to start kind of riding the Chiefs waves, but I really wouldn't count them out. And I do like the Chargers with Herbert. He's shown some crazy arm talent, and he's very impressive. As far as NFC, I really only see the Bucs and Packers.
Okay. Rams go down to the Titans last Sunday night. I mean, that's the NFL for you. I mean, it was a wild last week in general, and
I forgot about the Rams. My bad.
Yeah,
the Rams are definitely a contender.
Yeah, they are. They are set with McVay, and
the winner of the Super Bowl is going to come out of the NFC.
Okay, all right. I could probably agree with that, quite frankly. Explain to me, Trevor, how the Buffalo Bills can go into Jacksonville and lose a football game 9-6. And I sort of want to tie this into your career. Like, as a player, did you ever go into a game like at South playing Spalding where you laid down your arms a little bit and you got upset? Or, I mean, is that a real thing when you play?
It definitely is. Definitely in college, right? It was, we lost, we would go beat an FBS team, and then we'd come home and, lose to a team in a way smaller, weaker conference than us. So someone's just got to catch you at the wrong time. The Bills down in Florida, it's probably a little humid down there. They're probably practicing all week in the cold. So all those things can play in. Jacksonville, I don't know how fun of a city it is. Maybe the guys went out the night before. That's believe it or not. In professional sports, that's not uncommon as people would think. So I wouldn't, that's why you see sometimes when people play Miami late in the year, it's a tough place to win at.
Right for an upset. Oh yeah.
But these guys are professionals too, and the players in the NFL are so good at this point that the difference between players isn't crazy.
So relative, very small.
Extremely relative, right? The best is that much better than the worst. I think people are just so good right now. Maybe Jacksonville their coaches really put a lot of time in this week. Their defensive coaches, they had a great answer for something. Sometimes as an offense, you're just not expecting them to do something, and then you try to counter that and doing stuff that you didn't plan on doing and that you didn't practice that week. So it can really be an explosion of bad things happening. But I was really surprised to not see them at least score 2 touchdowns on Josh Allen just rolling out of the pocket, being a dude, making
Right.
plays.
Totally.
So that was very shocking to me.
Yeah, it's interesting how the NFL is such a relative game. And then on the college side of things, a lot of times college can be just chalk, right? Georgia versus Tennessee. Georgia will win 10 out of 10 times. Like, that's just going to happen, right? But with the NFL, obviously, like, it's any given Sunday, blah, blah, blah. Upsets happen in college too, obviously. I mean, dude, how do you explain Purdue? They've been like big boy hunters this year.
Yeah. Makes no sense. Quarterback just throws for 500 on Michigan State. That was nuts.
Speaking of college, my man, I want to talk about your UNH Cats. They started off the year ripping off 3 wins, 3-6 to this point. What do you make of the season so far? I'm sure there are some silver linings that you have. Yeah.
It's tough. They've dropped 6 straight now.
Yeah.
I'm a little speechless. No, they're having just a down year. It's tough. COVID, I think it screwed up their, recruiting classes a little bit. They weren't able to recruit as many guys, or something happened. But I think they're just having a down year. I think, these last 2 games are extremely winnable to at least get to 5-6.
Mm-hmm.
But the CAA as a whole, as the conference this year, I mean, there's only 2 ranked teams in it because everybody's just beating everybody.
Cannibalizing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Everyone's just taking each other out of the playoffs.
Right. It's like the Big Ten East.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to finish 6-5 or 5-6 this year. It looks like. Hopefully the Cats can finish 5-6, but they've struggled a little bit. They've had some couple of games with some really, really bad injuries to where they're playing true freshmen. So it's never what you want. But they've competed, so you got some silver linings.
Of course. That's a great spin right there, my man. I knew you would have it in you. We'll see what happens with the Cats. They got Rhode Island on Saturday. That'll be a good one.
Down at URI.
There you go. All right. College football playoff. So I'm looking at Georgia and I'm saying to myself, might as well just hammer them for national champions. Am I wrong on that bet? Because who can challenge them outside of maybe Alabama? But Bama hasn't looked that great either. I mean, LSU covered against them.
Yeah. That's tough. I'd pick Georgia as well. Not only because of how good their defense and offense has been, but the fact that they have 2 of the best quarterbacks in college football. They have Bennett, right?
Yep.
He's been going insane this year, right? But he wasn't even the starter at the beginning of the season. It was JT Daniels who was also going insane until he got hurt.
Right.
And you see this in the college playoffs all the time, right? When a starting quarterback gets hurt, another guy comes in. Them having 2 of the best in the country is, it's going to come out at some point.
It's the Alabama formula of Hurts and
it's the Alabama
Tua
formula, right?
Yeah.
So, I still believe in Alabama, though. Bryce Young, Nick Saban, you can never count them out. I'd say that those 2, but they're probably going to have to play each other in the SEC championship, right? If Bama or if Georgia wins that, Bama's probably out.
Yeah, that'd be 2 losses for Alabama. We'll see what happens the rest of the way with the Michigan States of the world. But it does seem like there's a big drop off, at least to me, from Georgia and Alabama. And then after all of that, I mean, Oklahoma hasn't looked good. Yeah.
Oklahoma hasn't looked good. Their new quarterback is doing better. They look better with him, but still they're playing a true freshman, so.
Right.
Tough.
Georgia all the way. I think that's the play. All right, let's get into a little betting angle here, TK. And I'm really delighted to know that you are very much in this space. So what is your strategy usually? Do you have a sport you go for? Do you sort of just kind of go with a touch and go sort of methodology?
I think college football is the easiest. I feel like mid-level college football, like not sometimes the Bama, the Georgia. But I think like finding the Appalachian State, like the Sun Belt conferences, the MAC, those if you want to make money, that's where you make money, right?
Okay.
You look at who's scoring points. I've made a lot of money on team totals. So I'll look at, right, Western Michigan, just bet their team total every single time they play another MAC team, especially and bet the first half team total if the other MAC team lets up 1 million points, which they all do. So it is really just free money out there. But I think people don't want to do that research or anything.
Right.
They just want to bet on, oh, Alabama's playing, New Mexico State 51.5. Yeah, let's root for that.
Right. That's a public money play right there. Right.
Yeah, that's an easier kind of strategy, is just bet on the good teams. But there's a lot of money to be made in those mid-major games. So anybody that Western Michigan team total over, you can just count on that hitting every game.
Yeah, the research is not needed because we have it right here on Lock It In with Cam Rogers. Trevor Knight's best bets here of the weekend. You've got one that you are a mortal lock on. Do you want to go to that one first?
Yeah, we can go to that one first.
Let's hear it.
I like the over of 72 in the Pitt, North Carolina game. Okay. I think that's just, as long as the weather, that game's actually tonight. So ooh. I don't know if this podcast is going to come out.
We're going live today. So
perfect. So yeah, hopefully you get this in tonight. But there's going to be a lot of points scored, There's going to be a lot of points scored.
Believe him, folks. Believe him. What else we got?
I love the action. I'd take Cincinnati covering over South Florida.
Okay.
Just because South Florida has been very bad this year.
What's the number that you have?
The number I have for that is 23.
Okay. I think that's reasonable.
So I'd definitely take them at 23. South Florida's just been bad. They have not been good. So, and Cincinnati really needs a game where they need to start killing teams, right? If they want any consideration, that's pretty much what the committee said. You need to start. Good point. You're playing these games too close. So I think this is their backs against the wall. I wouldn't put my mortgage on that 23, but I believe in it.
Yeah, you would think Cincinnati is one of the more motivated teams right now. I also would argue, Trevor, that the Sooners are as well. They're on the outside looking in, and they're undefeated. So they have Baylor this week, -5.5, I think. I mean, I like that play on the Sooners.
Yeah, I like the play on the Sooners too. Again, they got another great coach. You always got to look at the coaches too. Like, who's going to get their team ready for a game? I think Lincoln Riley will get them ready for the game.
Yeah.
And there are some other games, like UMaine is playing UMass this week. UMass just lost by, I think, 2 touchdowns to URI. I'd probably take Maine in this game. I don't know. They don't have a line yet for it, but they might be dogs to UMass, or even if I just take a money line. I think they'll win that game.
UMass. Oh my gracious. The elite of the elite in the FBS. I mean,
yeah.
Are they going to move back down? They have to.
Yeah, they should. Them and UConn should just join the CAA.
Yeah, quite literally. I mean, UConn just got a new head coach, Jim Mora. I don't know if you saw that, but
yeah. So that'll be interesting to see for them. Hopefully they can turn that around. I'd also take Army over Bucknell, whatever the spread is. There hasn't been a spread out for it yet, but Army over Bucknell. They're going to. With the problem with Army's offense, right, is like if you're on Clemson, right, you can run plays that you can just know you're not going to score. Army's offense, like, they play in a box, that's how they score.
Right.
It's every play that you'd think wouldn't score. So they might score 1 million points on Bucknell. Sorry, Bucknell, but it's going to be a rough weekend for them.
Oof. I feel like it's hard to handicap the triple option teams, the Navies and the Armies of the world, right?
Mm-hmm. It is, but you just got to see what type of defense they're playing. Are they a defense that lets up a ton of rushing yards?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be, it's going to be a long game.
All right. You got some plays this weekend. I like it. A lot of college football.
I'm telling you, the mid-major games.
Can I ask you about my Terrapins? They take on Michigan State. I mean, I think it's like -13 Michigan State coming off an embarrassing loss. I would hammer the Spartans in my opinion, but you got any thoughts?
I'll take the Terps plus 14.5. I'll buy them up to 14.5.
Okay. All right.
You know, you got to find an angle where you can still root for your team.
I know. I just can't, man. I mean, I was all over Penn State minus 10 against us last weekend in College Park, and lo and behold, it happened. We're just so small. We can't compete in the Big Ten, my man. But, you know, maybe they'll call me and play quarterback. We'll see what happens. But
yeah.
All right. Well, TK, appreciate you dishing out some of these best bets here for this weekend. The people will appreciate that. So obviously I'm going to see you pretty soon. You'll be up in Nashville, maybe at Billiards for Thanksgiving Eve. We should do a live show at the bar. Let's just do that. Let's talk about the match. Team Rogers, Team Fred. We're doing golf again. I'm 0-7 lifetime. I could use a pep talk of some sort. I'm very confident in my chances this year. So you should probably vote for Team Rogers. But where are you at?
Yeah. You know, I'll vote for Team Rogers just because at some point, right? At some point, you're going to get a win down.
Regression to the mean. It has to happen, right?
It has to happen, you know. For you, I just say, you know, you got nothing to lose. You got nothing to lose.
Play
just
loose.
Give it everything you got, you know. So I'll actually send you a video clip of ever seen A Bronx Tale?
No.
There's a great clip where these big bikers, they're like these mafia guys, these big bikers are all rowdy coming into this bar where their mafia guys are being real disrespectful to them. And, you know, the mafia guy asks them to leave. And they say, "Oh, sorry, we'll be respectful." And then he's like, "Okay, whatever, I'll give him another chance." Right. And then they started throwing beers at the bartender, and then he locks the door on him. Right. And he goes up to him. He's like, now you can't leave. And then they just start beating the bag out of all these bikers, you know, but it's a good right mindset thing. You know, you just got to lock them in and just have your way with them. You know, they don't respect you.
Oh God. I don't think Fred respects me. In fact, his goal is to get to 10. He's like, yeah, I'm going to 10. I'm like, Fred, that ain't happening, my man.
Yeah. No respect. You know, he's overlooking getting to 8.
He is. Dude, also, I need like a pre-game playlist from you. If you can share with me anything at all, I'm sure you have something on Spotify or Apple or whatever.
I got something on Apple Music. Yeah, I got it's called the Get Right 21. It's a great play. It'll get you right.
And I'm on Apple Music too. I was afraid to admit it, but it's good to hear that you're on it as well.
Yeah, I'll take all the hate from it.
There you go, brother. All right, Trevor Knight, former UNH quarterback and, of course, founder of TKQB Academy. It's great catching up with Trevor, as always. TK, appreciate it, man. I'll see you soon, all right?
Yeah, thank you for having me on, man.
You got it.